Hi everybody, I'm Nathan, and it's been a little too long since I've made a modern video, so how about today? My family's gone, I'm back from all of my vacations, it's kind of business as usual again. I have my office slash room that I don't actually office in very much because it has my gaming computer, Magic the Gathering, and other goodies, and it's very tempting to sit just to the left over here and not play Magic or do something else. So I usually end up working like in the kitchen, despite this being my office, or as my wife just calls it, my lair. Anyway, so I have that room back. Yeah. So I wanted to make a Geist video. It's been too long. I know some of you probably wondering, can you still play Geist? And I'm fairly sure that you can, although some matchups may be still challenging, I guess, as they always have been. Anyway, I'm actually going to get together, I think, maybe Wednesday with Jason Clark, and we're going to talk a bit about kind of what we've learned. So I won't try to touch on all of my thoughts, just do more of a quick once-over, I guess, or you'll just hear things twice, something like that. I'm still excited to kind of brew Thing and Ice, but I'm not there yet. So I've actually put a fair amount of effort into this Geist of St. Traff list, and I'm still really, what's the word? I am very still indecisive, but I do want to talk about where some of the flex slots have been. Okay, so I decided a while back that Spell Snare, when it's great, it's great. When it's bad, and I only wanted one. And before the banning announcement, this is kind of what I had been working on, was this. I was pretty happy with Pierce. Sometimes it was dead as the game went late. But oftentimes people didn't really play around it. You were able to get good value out of it, countering things like Collected Companies. I'd counter turn 1 Expedition maps and cranial platings. And I actually think Spell Pierce is really quite good. But I'm not sure that I don't know if I want to be Spell Pierce or Spell Snare right now. In fact, what I might do, maybe for the league, and I can get your opinions at the end, is maybe I will go ahead and do the split. The other thing is Helix, and I'll talk about Is It Charm in a second, because I know you guys are probably looking at that. Helix, for me, right, and at least in this iteration, has been bouncing, and of course we're going to talk about this, but Helix has been bouncing between an Electrolyze and a Lightning Helix. One reason I want Electrolyze is if we look at the meta, there's quite a bit of affinity right now. And Electrolyze makes our matchup better. But I think the matchup is probably less about Electrolyze and more about Etched Champion. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that Electrolyze, I don't really see, like, it's pretty good. It's good against Abs and Company. It's probably a little too slow against it's not great against Infect. It's kind of slow and clunky. It's not great against Burn. It's not great against Jund. It's okay. It doesn't really kill much. It cycles, kind of helps you maybe cleanly kill Liliana. It doesn't do a ton. It's great against Affinity. It's pretty good against Abs and Company. It's not good here. It's not good here. It's not good here. It's really not great here either. So it's not really great here, and it's not good against Zoo because most of their creatures are too big. It's not really good against Storm. So there's all these. We really only have a couple of decks where we actually probably want, Electrolyze. So I think, I'm gonna cut one, and actually, what I think I might go ahead and do is bring the 4th Path to Exile. I had cut the path because, I was playing against a bunch of Thopter lists, and I don't think Path is very good there. But I think for now I'm gonna stick with just the classic 4-bolt 4 Path. And so that kind of leaves us just on the 3 Helix. And so let me talk a little bit about why I have this Is It Charm in here. So I've play tested Ancestral Visions quite a bit, and it is actually it has been good. There are times when it's really bad, But that's why one reason I have this Izzet Charm. So one purpose of the Izzet Charm is to, if you draw 3 and you draw into more Ancestral Visions, or you just draw them and you don't want them because it's late and you're looking for something else, Izzet Charm can put them in the graveyard. Which at one point in time I was running a Goblin Dark Dwellers main, but being that there's so many decks that are like just trying to kill you, I think Goblin Dark Dwellers is way too slow and clunky, and you want it more for like your Jund and maybe your Abzan Company matchups than you do probably against a lot of the meta right now. So I think Goblin Dark Dwellers is great in general. I think it's totally modern playable. It's good with Electrolyze Helix. It's just fantastic with Ancestral Visions. I don't think it's necessarily something we want main deck. And so the Izzet Charm's here for a couple of reasons. One is it's kind of here's the thing about Izzet Charm. It's kind of bad at everything that it does, but it does a lot, and the flexibility can be nice. It's kind of like our 4th Lightning Helix when it comes to removing creatures. It's kind of like our 4th 2-mana counterspell. And it kind of helps us get rid of Ancestral Visions that we don't want. Now, this is not really the type of deck that wants to, sacrifice a card disadvantage for card selection. But if you've been able to resolve the Ancestral Visions at some point in time, then it's not as bad, right? At that point, it's okay because you've gotten yourself a 3-for-1 here, so losing a card to see additional cards is kind of okay. So right now I've been pretty happy with it. I've used every single mode. I've had a couple of games where I cycled it away, but I had one game where I needed to draw an untapped land in order to kill my opponent. It was my only out. I needed to bolt them and then get an untapped land so that I could activate Colonnade. And it was like the second card I drew off Izzet Charm was the land that I needed, so that was great. So it's possible it could just be the 4th Helix. It may need to just be another Remand or Mana Leak. It could be that we want to do something like just run 1 Spell Snare. But I've actually been pretty happy with Spell Snare. I've had it hit many different things. Just in general, I do think it's pretty good in Modern. It is nice that it's obviously great in Modern, but it's nice that you can use it and hit things like an Arcbound Ravager, and then you don't have to mess with the difficulties in countering that. It can hit other just many problematic things, as you know. One reason that I also like Spell Pierce is it kind of does the same thing in helping you get rid of difficult cards. You have the potential, like I said, to hit Collected Companies. If you're able to maybe play a Geist on 4, maybe you can Spell Pierce and Ensnaring Bridge. If they don't have enough mana to pay for it, it can help you win Counter Wars. Right. So I mean, I really don't. In a meta like this, I like it. It's also better. It's probably better against Infect than Spell Snare is. So we're gonna try it for this league segment and make a final decision. It's possible the Izzet Charm should also be the Electrolyze, but it makes me wish that I was like, well, I really don't want to run only 4 Helix. I would like to have another removal spell, so I'm gonna try that for now. A list that I ran previously. Let's see if this is still the same. I was actually pretty happy with this list. Oh, I modified this. I didn't have an Izzet Charm in there previously. This was actually like this. This was before I knew about the bannings. It was Spell Snare, Spell Pierce, like I said. If nothing had changed, I probably would have just ran with this, actually. I liked that everything above our curve, basically everything that cost more than Geist, let him attack. Meaning you could always just attack with the Geist, save it with Restoration Angel, develop your board. Attack with the Geist, save it with Restoration. You could keep doing that. And I was actually able to win a game against Affinity where I just had a bunch of Angels and a Geist as ain't trapped because he didn't attack, trying to block, and I just did that and a couple attacks with the additional Angels, managed to kill him. Anyway. So, where was I? As far as the sideboard, all this stuff's pretty standard. As far as the sideboard goes, I like Rule of Law. I've been playing it and I've been pretty pleased with it. It's good against things like it's good against some of our bad matchups. It's good against Living End. It's good against Storm. It's good against Ad Nauseam. Now, granted, if you have Rule of Law in play, normally what they can do with Ad Nauseam is they can cast Ad Nauseam, draw their deck, and bounce your hate card, like say a Leyline. But if they cast Ad Nauseam with a Rule of Law in play, they can't do anything else. So they're kind of forced to have to try to find their hate card before they can even cast Ad Nauseam. There's also been like Storm decks. It's been pretty useful. I've really been happy with the one of Rest in Peace. This was actually 2 Rest in Peace, but I just wanted a little more flexibility. Obviously, it turns off our Snapcaster Mages, but again, against Living End, if you can Rest in Peace them, then the fact that your Snapcaster Mages are turned off is less of a big deal. Against I was able to cast it against a lone deck, just easily win that game. I'm up to 3 Stony Silence. Again, that's for Affinity, but also the fact that there's Blue-White Thopters out there. Stony Silence is just incredible right now. The fact that there is Lantern Control out there, it makes this great. There may even be some Tron floating around. That makes this great. There's a lot of good targets for Stony Silence. A Dispel and a Negate. Now, I'm not totally sure yet. I had actually just recently made one change, and I made the Negate instead, at one point I had 2 Dispels, 2 Negates, and then at one point I had a Dispel, a Negate, and a Counterflux. And I like having the Counterflux. In fact, this Negate might go back. I guess, since we're trying to sort of I'm trying to refine things, I think I'm going to bring in this Counterflux and just decide how I feel about it. One of the things I liked about the Counterflux is it's very much a hard counter. I also liked it against decks that are suspending Ancestral Visions. You can just counter it and trade 1 for 1. One thing I've noticed is that against Ancestral Visions decks, it's really drawing the first Ancestral Visions is very important. But whoever casting Ancestral Visions has a big advantage if you get in a fight over it, because they can just willy-nilly expend their resources, and if they win the fight and their Ancestral Vision resolves and the person who lost the fight is suddenly down a bunch of cards, the other opponent draws a bunch of cards. So yeah. That reminds me, there's something I wanted to talk about Geist in general. Geist is, against the regular control decks, I think he's still fine. I think he's great. You can get still pretty behind, though. My initial assumptions of our deck not being fast enough to just invalidate Ancestral Visions is totally true. If they go turn 1 Ancestral Visions, you are not fast enough to kill them before it resolves. And the cards that they draw are going to matter. But it's still great in the control matchups. It's still an absolute beast. Where it's not as great at is the Blue-White Thopter decks. If you resolve a Geist and they have Thopter in hand, this has happened to me, they just untap, play their 4th land, Thopter, Mentor, or not Thopter, but they play Thopter, Foundry, Sword of the Meek, and you're probably just lost the game. It also is really bad against, unlike many other control decks or even Tron decks. It's really bad. Thopter is basically a trump for it. If you draw a Geist and they have the combo in play, then they get it in play, it really totally just stonewalls your Geist, and it's not very good there. So that's something to consider. But anyway, back to the sideboard. The other reason I like Counterflux, it's nice to just have a hard counter that counters everything. So even against Jund, I think it's totally reasonable because you're already going to probably play a Negate in that matchup. But it's nice that Counterflux can just counter their K command or their Lily at some point, or a Go. It can, if you draw it, it will counter whatever they can play. I have a couple Anger of Gods in here. I think they're great against Affinity. I also like them against the Melira combo decks. They're good against Zoo. They're good against Merfolk. Again, Goblin Dark Dwellers and Batterskull actually for your grinding matchups. Now I've been running a Karanos, but you know what I noticed is that there's so many matchups. There's so many matchups that they're not going to have artifact destruction right now. I'm not saying you probably don't bring it in against Jund, but our Jund matchups probably already better with the fact that we're playing some Ancestral Visions and like something like Dark Dwellers potentially flash it back. But it's totally fine to bring it against like Abzan. But there's just a lot of matchups where you're acting as the control deck, and the fact that Batterskull stabilizes you is just huge. I've won several different games. I've won, I don't want to say many, because I've only played so many games. But I have decidedly won games with Batterskull. I have put Batterskull on Geist of St. Traft, on Angel. It itself has been good. And I think it's a card that I'm going to strongly consider running again. Obviously, you don't want to necessarily bring it in against... you don't want to bring it in where you bring it in Stony Silence. But yeah, I'm not ready to say I want to go back to no Batterskull. Another card I've been really pleased with lately is Pithing Needle. You can bring it in now. I'm not sure they can like kill it with Abrupt Decay, but it's an answer to Lily. It's an answer to Planeswalkers. It's an answer to things like Academy Ruins. It can be an answer to just lots of things. If they go turn 1 map and you have a needle, you can name that. I've really been very pleased with Pithing Needle in the sideboard. Engineered Explosives is great. I think for... You know, we have more Stony Silence to make Engineered Explosive less of a big deal. And also Anger as far as that matchup goes. I like Batterskull against Affinity as well. But one thing to definitely keep in mind is they may have Wear Tear for your Stony Silences, and obviously getting Batterskull killed would be sad. Artifact Destruction, Enchantment Destruction, and then Staticaster has also been great as well. It's just a lot of different matchups that can come in against, and it's a sweet card. Now, the one change I'm considering making is actually an Anger. I played a league earlier. I died to Thrun twice. There's more blue decks, or at least a potential of blue decks floating around, and people are beginning to bring in Thrun. The other reason I like Wrath of God is it could potentially kill a Etched Champion, which, you know, when I did my initial like analysis of why I was losing games to Affinity, of like the 9 losses that I had, I was very 50-50 with Affinity over like 20 matches or something like that. 6 or 7 of them were basically to Etched Champion. They would eventually resolve Etched Champion, and it couldn't do anything about it. So I really want a way to kill him. Shadowstorm does it, but I think that Stony Silence, considering all of the other decks, is just way better than Shadowstorm right now. But maybe I'll try the Wrath of God. We'll see how it works out. Yeah, so I guess that's going to be about it. This is the list we're going to play. We'll see how it goes. There's one other undecided thing still. That's we're running 24 lands, and normally I only want to run 1 Ghost Quarter. I was running to Desolate Lighthouse. Me and Jason both agreed, like, because we're still, you know, the balance of when we're being proactive is very tenuous between reactive. But one thing we're normally, even when we're acting even when we're acting as a control deck, we are actively looking for a window to like resolve a Restoration Angel and start beating down. And because of that, we don't have a lot of turns where we're just saying draw, go. And we don't have a lot of times where we can just sit back and get a bunch of value out of Desolate Lighthouse. And it's possible that it might just be better as a Ghost Quarter. One thing I would consider if Tron is less of a thing, and obviously it's not as good against Infect and Affinity, but if Tron starts to decline, I would seriously consider Tectonic Edge again. It might even be like a fine time to try that card out. I know. Oh, I can't spell. So keep this in mind when you're watching this video. And I know this intro's been very long, but I'm not trying to show you guys like this is not a 100% polished list. This is a list that I would say is probably like I feel 80 to 85% confident in. I believe it's headed in the right direction. I was very much not a fan of Ancestral Visions in the very beginning. I thought we didn't want this card, but I would say it's proven its worth. In the matchups it's bad, it comes out. You still have some selection in Serum Visions. In the matchups it's good. It's really good. And you know, turn 1 Ancestral Visions, turn 3 Geist, turn 4 like punch Geist through, turn 5 draw more cards that punch Geist through is totally great. So, yep. Anyway, all right. Well, let's give this a try. Yeah, we're gonna try out Tectonic Edge, see how the one of Electrolyze works. We're gonna be evaluating Is It Charm. We're still gonna be evaluating Ancestral Visions. It's not 100% decided. Still on the fence whether we need 4 Path right now. You know, if it's just Jund, although, you know, it's nice to path certain creatures out of Abzan Company. Kind of talked about the sideboard. Let's get to some games. I'll see you guys in a second. Okay, so I forgot that it was actually in a league with a Ancestral Vision straight Jeskai control list. So rather than throw that away, I decided to just enter a 2-man. I would go ahead and play an 8-man, but I do not. I'm kind of tired. I went to bed late last night. It's getting close to 10 o'clock, so I don't have time to commit to an 8-man. So maybe this week we'll just play some 2-mans or a combination of 2-mans and 8-mans while I finish up the Jeskai Control League. So obviously we have to mulligan this hand. Lands are bad. I think this hand, assuming we don't get the Ancestral Visions taken, it would obviously be better on the play. But this can again be a counter spell or a removal spell. We have a Geist of Saint Traft. We have an Ancestral Visions. I think we put this on the bottom. Probably. Okay, so this deck's interesting, and I don't think Ancestral Visions is very good. Let's see what we draw. I think we just sit on Spellslinger here. This is the Goblins matchup, which I've actually been pretty surprised about. It is not a terrible deck. It can be extremely explosive, and then it can even get you by like sacrificing other lands and putting a bunch of big goblins to play. Yeah, so we'll just Spell Snare the first available target. I'm going to play this Scalding Tarn for sure. This is interesting. I haven't actually had this come up yet. I totally want a removal spell, and I totally don't want these Ancestral Visions. So it's interesting. If this is a... Okay, it's that guy. So I think he's going to... Here's the thing. He is now going to play, at least my guess, whatever the goblin is that gives all of their goblins +1, +0, and haste, I believe, with dash. Okay, no, it's just this guy. Let's see. Alright, I think I'm going to cycle away the Is It Charm to discard these Ancestral Visions. This is kind of why it's here. I mean, I will be taking 4, but my opponent only has 2 cards in hand, and we need a way to manage his board. And Is It Charm at this point isn't doing that for us. So I will take the 4, not that I'm thrilled about it. Hopefully... I guess I'm looking for something like an Electrolyze would be pretty good. There's an Electrolyze. Definitely just getting rid of these Ancestral Astral Visions. Untap here. Oh, the one thing I didn't mention also was that I let's play the Seachrome Coast. I dropped one Colonnade for Seachrome Coast just because I thought we'd be doing more like turn 1 plays. Alright, let's see. So he has 2 cards in hand. I wonder what are the chances he has a play and then has whatever, I can't remember that thing. It's a new card. It has dash. It's pretty good too. So that's annoying. You know, I played against this Goblin deck a while back, if you remember watching that, and I was like, well, I'm not too worried about losing to Goblins, meaning like nobody plays the deck, but this version is far superior to what we typically would see. Okay, so we're definitely going to electrolyze these dudes. Still taking 6. Let's see, what's our draw step? Opponent's down to a card. I guess I can play Geist and block something small, or I can just play Restoration Angel and block something a bit larger, but then my offense is a little slower. Opponent is at 20. I guess we can Air Visions, play Geist. What could he have? Maybe he has a Bolt because everything in his deck is cheap and he didn't really do anything. So if he has like a burn spell, then we're effectively at 5. If he doesn't have a follow-up play and he attacks, then we go to 3, which is a pretty precarious life total. I still think that it's fine to just stare visions here and either find something or set up our draw for next turn. So I think Bolt is pretty solid. Probably want the Bolt more than I want. Like I probably don't want this other Angel at this point, but I think I do want the Bolt. And then I think I just go Geist here. Two cards. Alright, so that's unfortunate. So obviously we have to block. And we died a Bolt? Yeah. Okay, so I think he had Bolt in hand and drew this. Okay, so let's see. Goblins. I think Static Caster is probably great. Electrolyze seems really good. Engine Explosive seems reasonable. I like what Batter Skull can do if we get to the later game. I think it might even be better than Restoration Angel. Let's see here. I don't like any of this, really. Wrath. I think we can trim some number of Geist. I normally keep them in versus Burn, but this deck plays differently than Burn. Wrath is slow. Anger of the Gods might operate at a quick enough speed. I think Remand is probably terrible. Spell Pierce. I don't think we want that either. I think Spell Snare is fine. I think is it. Oh, you know what? These are not what we want at all. So let's see if we take those out. What are we looking at? Could bring in Wrath as well. He's just very creature based. That leaves us with 4 more cards that we need. I guess if we, I feel like that's too slow. I mean, Batterskull is really too slow as well, but I just like that it gains life. I don't want Pierce because they're mostly all creatures. I guess we're on the play. We could try to like buy some time with remands and cantrip through our deck. Certainly, I'm not thrilled about them, but and maybe a Geist. He's just so explosive. Huh. Wonder. I don't think I want Rule of Law. Two cards. The Dispel, I know there's just not that many targets in this deck. I will play first. Okay, so... I think I need to mulligan. Well... Yeah. Now, if this Tech Edge was a colored land, if it depended on which Tech Edge it is, this hand would be better. I mean, it can take 3 to set up this Visions, but that feels gross. Yeah, I'm gonna mulligan this hand. I like this hand a lot better. Yeah, we'll draw that. So let's see. Do I want Vision? Yeah, I think Visions is probably fine. Let me think here, actually. Yeah, I think that's fine. And I'm actually just going to play the Sulfur Falls. Probably bolt whatever his turn 1 play is. I know we have this Electrolyze, but I think there's going to be plenty of targets for that. Okay, I don't want this land, but I absolutely want the Aesthetic Caster. And this can get us our white source without having to. Let's see, what does he play here? The War Marshal. Let's see. We're not gonna die yet. I actually think that we can get away with playing a Geist here. And there's a chance that, depending on what he draws, we can... Okay, so he's going to pay the Echo cost. See, that's great. So he's tying up his mana with this, and he may not even be able to attack. Alright, that's really good for us. Okay, so let's see. I'm just trying to decide if I want to electrolyze or Staticaster here. I guess I like just let him block, and then Staticaster one of them, because then we that means next turn we can probably Staticaster some creatures and electrolyze. I mean, I guess we could do that either way. See, if we do the electrolyze, then we draw a card. No, I think I like the Staticaster better because that means we get to activate it once now and then again next turn. So I'm actually just going to play the Hollow Fountain tapped and attack here. Okay, blocks. And I think I kill the Mog War Marshal, and then when I untap a Staticaster, I can clean up all of his Goblin tokens. Let's see. Well, conversely, if I kill the Goblin, I guess killing the Goblin's better because if I kill the it doesn't really matter. Because if I kill the Mog War Marshal, then this Goblin's gonna die. If I kill just this Goblin, the War Marshal dies, and he has another. It's all the same. I wish there was a way to just kill the War Marshal and then clean it up, but yeah, I don't think it matters at all. What? It targeted itself? Okay, this is really stupid. Alright, well, that was like, I clicked it, I guess, and then I clicked it again to, like, I clicked it, decided what to activate, and then I was clicking it to activate it. So now I've just, like, not screwed myself, but I've given myself a really awful hole to dig myself out of completely unnecessarily. Oh, God, Moto, man, Moto, come on. It's just really frustrating. Like, these are the stupid things that only happen playing Magic Online. I'm going to be a little irritated if I lose this because of that. Well, that's the thing that gives haste. I mean, we'll kill both of these next turn, but he still has 4 cards in hand. Yeah, play Colonnade. What a shame. I mean, it was going to die anyway, but still. I'm waiting to see if he, like, plays another one. I think I just want to kill both of these now. I wish I had a Sacred Foundry up, because then I could, if I drew like a Bolt or if I drew a Bolt, I could kill the Chieftain. But I can kill the Chieftain with that, at least. I'm going to play the Scalding Tarn, and I'm actually not going to use the Helix. I'm going to see what happens, but we can always block with a Colonnade. We're going to lose, actually. Our opponent has 5 cards in hand. I'm still like so tilted and annoyed over the. Yeah, that is too much damage to take. I'm gonna go ahead and just heal the chieftain. Snap Cat Mage would be a great draw. Not a great draw. Is it Staticaster? This would be going much better if we had an Is it a Staticaster? Alright, this would be going much better if we had a Geist of St. Traft. Okay. And now he's going to dash the thing and we're going to die. Yep. I guess we still have like I guess we could see we're gonna take 4, 6, 7, 8. I guess we could still like draw an Anger of the Gods, not be in the worst shape. Does it make... See, if I block this, he sacrifices it. It just take... Guess it doesn't really matter. Awful. Wait, I gotta play that land. I guess in theory I can remand and block with Colonnade. Alright, well, I'm going to cycle that. And then he plays that. Yeah, that's game. I've actually lost to this Goblins deck more than I have won against it. Granted, this game we lost our pressure because of a stupid misclick. Okay, well, that was the first game. I think it was fine. You know, I actually think that Goblins deck is pretty reasonable. Very fast and aggressive. And even when you've answered everything, I forget what spell it is. It's like they get to pay X and sack lands, or they pay and then X is how many lands they sack, and they get like X goblins that are a certain size. But I've gotten killed by that as well. All right, well, that'll be round 1 for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed the match, and I hope you're glad that I'll be making some videos again. As always, thank you for watching. I really appreciate the support. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys tomorrow, but until then, draw well and smash face. Bye-bye.